What's up, on Power Addicts crew? Look real close. What's that behind my head? Right there. What is that? Check that out. That's right. Got ourselves a drink holder going on, and it clears the doors. One there, and I got one over there. Want to know how I did it? Come along with me and I'll show you how. Here's the water bottle holder we're going to be using. It won't fit down here like this, so what we're going to do is bring it up here like this. But tucking it all the way back up against that, still not going to fly. So what I'm thinking of doing, a piece of flat stock across these two bolts here, in the middle of that, a piece of 1-inch square tubing. We'll set this out to about right there, and it'll clear everything just fine. Sounds good? Let's do it. So first thing, we need to see how long we need our 1-inch piece. Lay the tape measure up there, and looks like if we do about 3.5 inches, we will be good. Measure out to 3.5 inches, but you don't have to be exact. Now take my cutoff wheel, chop it off. Then we need to clean up our edges. Actually, I need to clean up all the metal because this stuff's a little bit rusty. Now we got to measure our bolt spacing for our flat stock, and we get everything all lined up, push that in a little bit. So we measure our holes. Looks like we're 2 3/8 inches center to center. Now we take that 2 3/8 inch dimension, we lay it here in the middle, and we punch our centers. Then we drill them out. Now you see I've got this chucked up on the drill press here, and what I'm doing, the hole I'm cutting right now is where I'm going to do the drill, doing the drill and tap. I'm tapping for 1/4 threads. But I went ahead and stacked the 1-inch tubing on top of the 1-inch flat stock, so whenever the bit passes through, it'll mark the center, it'll align the centers for this piece and that piece at the same time. So once I get that, this piece right here is going to be get the threads cut in. This piece will not. But once I get the holes passed all the way through three sides, through this part right there and this one, 1, 2, 3. And once I get the holes drilled, I'll tap this for 1/4, but then I'll clearance cut this one. I'll clearance drill it, whatever. Meaning I'll drill this hole big enough for this here and this here, large enough for the 1/4 bolt to go through. So before I drilled this right here, I wanted to show you guys what I was doing, but once I get it drilled and tapped, I'll show you a little bit more detail as to why I did that. So in that last shot, I showed you guys taking a drill bit, passing all the way through this one. You see the hole, it passes all the way through, and I hit this one right here. What I did, when it passed through this, passed through the second side, it hit this one and marked where the location needed to be. So I took this right here out of the vise and went finished drilling that without this in there because it marked the center for me. Because oftentimes you got this in there and that. This will want to, the drill bit will want to push it all cattywampus and mess things up for you. You see I've already cut the threads. It's 1/4. And whenever you drill it like I did, they do become dependent upon each other, meaning this has to go with this piece, this has to go with this piece, because of where the center line is located and keeping your sides lined up. Now, since my 1/4 bolt will thread into this, but it will not pass through this. So I'm going to take my step bit, open this up enough for this bolt to pass through that. And oh, there it is. Thought I dropped it to the ground. So I'm going to open this hole right here up, this side and that side, so the 1/4 bolt will pass through. So I have these all cleaned up. I put them on the bench grinder, radiused off those ends, took the wire brush, made them all nice and clean. And as you see, I got the holes right there lined up. Now me personally, I would take and run me a bead of weld right through there and call it a day. But not everybody out there has a welder or has access to one. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set this up as if you guys do not have a welder. What do you do? So this is how it's going to pretty much how it's going to mount. But right here, this surface here and this surface here, I'm going to rough it up really well. JB weld between the two of those, and I'll run me a bolt through that thing to hold it tight until that JB weld sets up. Now here's our little bottle holders we're using, and here's a 1/4 bolt. Look at that, won't fit. We're only going to be using this bottom hole, so what you need to do is take you a bit that's big enough to clear the quarter 20 bolt and drill that out right there so the bolt will go through it. Got us a little bit of JB Weld squeezed out here, haven't mixed yet. You see the surface right here, I've roughed it up really well. The mating surfaces here, I've got them roughed really well, giving the JB Weld something physically to bite to. Paying attention to how the centers line up, because what I would do was line the stuff right here, pop it together. Now I'm using 1.5-inch bolts. They're going to be too long. So once we run it all the way through, we'll have to, on the back side, cut them off. A little dab there. And again, making sure our centers are correct. I'm lining it up correctly. And we'll squeeze it down. And run our bolt through. Give it a good hard snug. You ain't got to get a wrench out and really crank it down or anything. And then if you want to, right here on the corners and the radius and stuff, just kind of do your finger like that. Might form a nice little radius right there. Make them look parity. See, what the heck? Let's make them look good. Cram a little JB Weld in there, make that radius form. You don't have to do this. I'm just kind of actually just playing. But once we get ready to paint these, we'll have a nice radius right there to make them look like they're one piece. Alright, let's do the other one. One thing I didn't mention, whenever you put the dollop of JB Weld on your metal there, be sure you don't get it down inside the hole right there and risk gluing your bolt in place. Odds are you can break it loose and bring it out, but you know, don't need a chance in it. And see, it don't take a lot, because whenever you just do a little bit of a finger crank right there, you can see it squeezing out right there. And make sure you get lined up. There you go. If you notice how big these holes are right here, I intentionally cut them oversized, which give plenty of adjustment room when we mount them inside the Jeep. Cool. Alright, I'm going to drag my little radiuses in right here, radii, should I say, and be ready to paint and mount in a little bit. To clean these up, I'm taking the front side of this Sawzall blade and just kind of that forward. It will be a lot less cleanup if you want to do any kind of sanding or detail work, which I'm not. Alright, wait for it to dry. While this stuff's drying, let's go over real quick, because somebody's going to ask, what size holes did I drill? So this right here turned out to be, what was it? Right there, I just kind of randomly did and paid attention. 1/2 inch. These two holes right here are drilled to a 1/2 inch. And again, I did that for the sake of whenever I mount them in the Jeep, I got room to move them around where I need them to tighten them up. This, where this right here is drilled through, it's a 3/8 hole down through that, and that's tapped to a quarter 20. And this is 1-inch square tubing. This is 1-inch flat stock here. You can pick that tubing and the flat stock up at your local hardware stores, wherever. So I'm not patient enough to paint them. So I'm going to leave them raw for right now, because I've got some parts I want to powder coat later. So whenever I do those other parts, they're all going black anyway. I'll go ahead and powder coat this as well. But what I did, that's a little tight for a socket. So if you had, like, you know, one you put the hex key in, those the socket head bolts, that would actually be a lot better. But what I did was took a 5/16 that's apparently, I mean 7/16 that's apparently magnetized. Just stuck it on the end of the bolt right there. Got to the point that it was bottoming out, and I just took a, not exactly the right tool, but hey, we make it work. And just turn it to tighten it up. Get right here. See, I got the socket placed. I mean the wrench. And turn. You gotta get hard snug on it. So I can get a little more out of that one. So I can get another bite. There we go. Get on there, darn it. There we go. Then we turn it in. And it's there. And it's straight. We got just a tiny bit of stick out right back here. So what we'll do, we'll take the grinder, smooth that off so it's flush. So when we install it in the Jeep, it's not going to be scratching against the bracket and holding it outward. But, I mean, it's solid. So, using 1.5" bolts. Now, as you can see, I've got a little bit of spacing going on here. I've got 2 grade 8 washers. Now, if you get your lesser grades, they're a little bit thinner. You know, the 5s and such like that. They're a little bit thinner. So I went with the grade 8 washers. Plus, I've got a lock washer right there, which took out enough of the length of the 1.5" bolt. That's all the stick out we have right there. That'll work out pretty good. So I'm going to put the other one together real quick, and I'm going to take this on the grinder and flush it off, and we'll install it. I'll take a T40 Torx, and get my door out of the way. Loosen my strap. Right back and then go get a hammer. We got that one loose. This one's wanting to be cranky. You put the T40 or the whatever size bit you need, but in this case T40. Put it in there, take a hammer, hitting it, shocks the threads. Sometimes it helps it break loose. Not only that, it makes sure that your T40 or whatever size you're using is properly engaged and not just like partially engaged. So put it back in place. It's in there. There she goes. Now up top here, you don't have to worry too much about your windshield moving, because right up here your spreader bar, if you've got these bolts right here tightened in place, you've got an adjustment bolt right up into here. As long as they're tight, your windshield's not going to move. This ratchet is not my favorite ratchet at all. It tends to have a mind of its own. Okay, we got those out of the way. Set this up here like this. Let's see. Let me get off in your way. Let me eyeball this for a moment. Yeah, we're looking good. And I'm going to go get an extension. So we'll get this one started. I'll be right back. Need an extension. Alrighty, we back. That one started. Feed that in back in behind y'all. and snug them back up. And kind of get them, back it up. I'll pick it up a little bit, snug it, get this one snugged. Now don't get crazy tight on them. Honestly, since I had this thing out, what I should have done is put some anti-seize on those threads, but I didn't. Because they are so subject to be seized up. And it's solid. Alright, let's go get a can of the bottle. We'll test fit. So we'll place this bottle like this, so I don't have to pay no royalties to anybody. Look at that. That fits perfect. And get my door closed. I'm going to move you guys a little bit. See, clears the door. And my soft top windows go in right here. And it should clear, so we'll put my soft top windows in now, see how that works out. Let's see. Right there. Works out pretty good. Like it. Alright, I'm going to put my soft top windows in real quick, and we'll see how that works out. So we got a drink bottle back in place, so let's close the door. Look at that. Perfect. No problems. You got your favorite drink, put it right there. Works out great. And it is super solid. No rattles. You play music too. Yeah, baby. There's that one. There's that one. And both of them clear the windows and doors just fine. Now I had this video all wrapped up, getting ready to push it to YouTube, and made a post in one of the Facebook groups. As some of you may know, I hang out in YJ Fanatics, YJ Warriors, and Jeep Wrangler YJ. I'm kind of a regular in those particular groups. So I made a post on one of them. Actually, a post had already been made, and then I dropped in a picture of, hey, look what, I did this right here too, And a question was asked by George Curse that, hey dude, will those work with steel doors? Can I open my wing windows? You know what? I hung one of my steel doors right here. And we're about to find out. So I'm running my Rampage cab top right now, which utilizes the factory soft top frame. So I can't completely close my doors because it's hitting on this plastic right here. But I can close it enough to give you, tell you what you need to know. Alright, let me jump up in here. Yeah. So we're up in my Jeep here, and I can't completely close my door because the frame hits on this piece right here, this A-pillar trim. But closing it right there will give us what we need to know. And from what I can see already, it's not going to fly. So we're going to open this up, push that, and backside of the wing window is going to hit the cup, so no dice, bro. And to be totally honest with you, I don't know if there's one on the market that will work with, because the backside of the wing here comes out, it's going to hit back here. So, and for a cup holder to get down in here deep enough, you're not going to have enough room between this. So the only way I see you be able to make it happen is I fabricated the mounts as you see here. You got that 1-inch square tubing was to bring your cup holder outward this far, enough to clear this. But it's going to find that happy medium between clearing the back side of this and having access to reach this. So can it be done? Yes, but you're going to bring your cup holder out this way quite a bit, and then you will definitely have to make it out of solid, some solid metal of some kind to make sure you ain't got a whole lot of flex and bounce out of it. I might toy with that idea, see what I can make out of it. If you guys want to see me make something like that, hit me down in the comments to see if I get enough interest. I'll tinker with it and see what I can make. So there you go, everyone. A cheap, easy idea that you don't need any kind of real special fabrication tools, because instead of welding it, I used a JB weld to hold it together, and that was mostly just to prevent that square tubing from being able to rotate on that flat plate. That'll make it much more rigid, much more solid, and less likely for things to vibrate loose. Cut the metal, just go to your local hardware store or department store that got the Dremel tools and stuff. Get one of those. Those little fibrous wheels, be careful with those. They have a tendency to grenade on you. So wear those safety glasses, wear those gloves, protect yourself. Now, with inside most of those Dremel kits, you get the little grinder heads, and that's what you can use to clean the metal up and radius off the ends of that flat plate so you don't get any sharp, pokey edges coming out to stab you or anything. That's just not very comfortable. So it's an easy solution to a common problem. So everyone, if you enjoyed this video, hit me with a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, leave us cool comments down below, and I appreciate you hanging out with me. Peace out. Later, y'all.